Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to On the Mic with Mike. We had a little musical interlude. It was Tiffany Greene's favorite song, Lose Yourself. So this is Mike King with the Mike King Biz Radio Network. We're coming to you from the ESPN studio, the Mike King Biz Radio studio, which is a global epicenter of social enterprise business. But it is not as much fun because the Princess of Purpose is not here. We're doing it digitally. That's a struggle for people of my age bracket. We do struggle sometimes with the technology, but we are powering through. All righty, so Tiffany, really quickly, and we got an all-star lineup today. I got you, we got Susanna with us as well. So Tiffany, go ahead and tell us who you are and what you do.
So I'm the founder of Empower People, and Empower People is an organization that provides education, connection, and support to mission and purpose-driven leaders to drive positive impact and empower people. You can find us on www.empowerpeople.org. That's MPWRPeople.org. And you can find us on, that's correct. And you can find us on LinkedIn and Facebook. And I'm going to take a moment. The reason why we're not in the studio today, so we're going to do a little PSA. I do not belittle life-threatening allergies because I went through anaphylaxis on Saturday. So that's what I'm recovering from. And that's the last why I'm not in the studio today. So
we're glad that you're feeling better, a little bit better than my mom would always say. If you don't think it's a good day, try missing one.
I always say, if I'm breathing, it's a good day.
That's what you said. If you're breathing, I'm like, that's a thumbs up. You're like, yes, that definitely is. So you're feeling better. You can't keep a good woman down. So you are here powering through. You pulled yourself up by the bootstraps, and we are here because we got to talk to Susanna, who's out there. She's been doing some really cool things for a long time. I mean, one of the things, your name has been buzzing, and, it takes to come through Tiffany really to make it happen. So, Susanna, welcome to the program.
Well, thank you, Mike and Tiffany, for having me. And Tiffany, I'm so glad you're still with us.
Yeah, exactly.
And doing better. Yay.
All right, so Susanna, tell us who you are and what you do.
So good afternoon. I'm Susanna Wu-Pong Calvert. I'm the founder of the Foundation for Family and Community Healing. We are an educational nonprofit that helps people develop the skills they need to be more resilient in their mental, emotional, and social health and well-being. We feel like this is the gap that has been left by our schools and workplaces for generations, really, and is very much a large cause of the mental health crisis that we're in. So we really believe in getting to the root of the problem, and also hopefully before these mental and social and emotional crises occur. So we believe in taking a more preventative approach, helping people to become more resilient. And we have an online learning platform for youth and adults that can be used for individual, paired, or group learning. We are at healingedu.org, and we are on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. So I hope you'll join us on your resilience journey too.
One of the things is here with Susanna, Tiffany is with us as well, Mike King. So one of the best parts about having a radio show is I get to talk to the experts. And so, Tiffany, I'm getting on the soapbox now. So we thought people of a certain age, we didn't know whether the world was going to continue after, Y2K. We weren't sure. We were ready to pack it in because we did. And then boom, we woke up after Y2K and we made it. When we look at the young people now, and you look at what they've been through for the last 20 some years, it is crazy when you look at what it's done from a mental standpoint. Back in the day, like I say, I hate to sound like the old man, but, get off my lawn. If you weren't tough mentally, too bad for you. We've had a whole generation now of young people. We've been at wars, the economy has been in the toilet, it's done better. And then we had a thing called the pandemic, which was something crazy. So they lived through a lot. Talk a little about how people are doing now. So we sort of put the pandemic in the rear view, but whenever I have people on who are dealing with healing or the mental state, what's the street saying? How are the people doing out there now?
Sorry, were you addressing me or Tiffany?
Yes, you.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. It's not going so well, Mike, as you've inferred. And, and in fact, there was a mental health crisis before the pandemic. In early 2020, the American Psychological Association was calling was naming a mental health crisis in the US just due to stress. And that was before the pandemic heat up. The data was collected from pre-pandemic days. And as you can imagine, it's only gotten worse. So the Surgeon General reported that 76% of adults in America are having at least one symptom of a mental illness. And what I think is really alarming, Tiffany and Mike, is that SAMHSA says that it's if you add in mental illness with a substance misuse disorder, 1 in 3 adults are suffering from one or both of those. And the number is nearly 1 in 2 if you're a young adult, age 18 to 26. Nearly 1 in 2 of our young adults are suffering from a mental illness or a substance misuse disorder. Take that and add loneliness, another epidemic, as pointed out by our current Surgeon General. And we are in a world of hurt, both literally and figuratively. And it's not just the way we feel, because all of this affects the bottom line and really every aspect of life. And if we just look at the money, let's see, the United Safety Council, I think that's the name of it, estimates that it costs an employer about $15,000 per year per mentally distressed worker. Again, those are pre-pandemic dollars. It's probably closer to $20,000 per year per employee, mentally distressed employee. That's just the cost to the employer. What about the worker themselves? The cost to their family in terms of lost wages, lost opportunity, and so on, and the mental and emotional cost to them and their family. So really, if you add it up, the price is incalculable. And so the question is, why aren't we doing more about it?
So really quickly, do you think that it's gotten worse, or we just are more willing to talk about it now and say, hey, there's something wrong, I need to talk to someone? So there's a song that's out right now, I just ran across it, To Be a Man. And I'm thinking that might be the best song I ever heard, because it talks about, you always ask guys and men, how you doing? I'm doing great. You're looking out, the wheels are coming off. But now it may be like, maybe we're a little bit more to say, yo, things are kind of crazy and hectic for me. And people won't make fun of me, people won't judge me. Do you think, Susanna, that it is, we're just reporting it more, or things are a lot worse than they were?
I think it's both and. We are more willing to talk about it, and especially the younger generations. So the ones that are really struggling, I think, are also more willing to talk about it, and they have less stigma associated with it. Thank God. That's maybe one blessing that came out of that. But since we've been measuring this, it has also gotten worse as well. Our world is increasingly VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And you add things like,
hold, ma'am. That one sounded really, run that one by me again.
Oh, you haven't heard VUCA? VUCA, volatile.
No, I'm sheltered. I don't even know what that is, and I'm scared of it.
Well, I mean to scare you, Mike, but I didn't think I'd scare you with that.
No, you know what? That did it. So it's VUCA.
Yeah, stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And then there's a new term I've heard called polycrisis. So we have multiple crises going on. So add to that social media, which is a known detriment to our emotional and mental health, especially for our young people. And then you add things like environmental degradation. There's microplastics in absolutely everything. That is not good for our health. And therefore, it just adds a whole nother layer of stress to our physical well-being, as well as everything else. So things are are challenging. I mean, I don't mean to be all doom and gloom. There are also many wonderful things going on too.
Well, thank you, ma'am. You were just a regular beacon of light. Now I'm going to throw around VUCA. That, you know, when you think about all of those things are not good, and then when you put them all together, it just seems like it got worse. Okay, Tiffany, we got some issues here, and we take them to the workplace. We need to have an understanding employer to kind of hold people together so that we could have a good workplace, a productive workplace, a team. All right, ma'am, how do we make that happen?
So one of the things that I think Susanna is really talking about and how it can be applied to the workplace is simply, you know, when people say it's business, it's not personal. Let's
I
all
say
take
that
a
a lot.
moment and laugh at that. Let's just take all a moment and laugh at that, because that you can't separate the human from business, right? So when you're in the workplace, and as you know, in the show and everywhere else, I talk about purpose, and it's up to the leadership to define the purpose of the organization and also help define the employees, their role in the purpose, right? That's a one-way relationship. It's also up to the employer to find out what that individual's purpose is, because their purpose isn't just to live out necessarily that company's purpose. And the goal then is to do what I call a purpose alignment. So you want to make sure that the employee feels like they're help benefiting the organization's purpose while at the same time accomplishing their purpose.
Tiffany, very quickly, I have 50 people who work for me.
Mhm.
How can I align with each of their purpose? Bob wants one thing, Sue wants another, Malik wants this, you know, Sandy wants that. How do we address the individuality of it?
You have to actually address each individual as individual, and you have to make the time to do that. If you treat them like cogs in the wheel, you will not get employees that will stay with you. The employees will leave because it will feel like cogs in a wheel. Nobody wants to feel like a cog in the wheel. Everybody wants to feel like they're contributing to a purpose and that they're living out their purpose. So whether you have 50 employees, 1,000 employees, 20,000 employees, I don't care. It's up to the organization to make sure every voice is heard. So if you're a leader of a smaller organization that has only 50 employees, it's up to the leader to meet with every single employee and get to know each employee. It should be a priority. And if your organization is that organization of 20,000 people, the CEO may not be able to do that, but you have to have the right leadership in place that can do that.
Alrighty, Susanna, let's talk about your journey to get to purpose-driven work. That it's your mission here to talk about that. Were you always that kid who was the sympathetic one? You were shaking no.
Well, I was always an overachiever, but I had a really major crisis early in my career when I got everything I ever wanted, because that cherry on top of the cake, or whatever the metaphor is, was getting tenure at VCU, and I thought that was going to be the thing that would make me happy. But it was actually the worst thing that ever happened to me, because I woke up and I thought, oh my God, what have I done? I'd been chasing somebody else's perfect purpose, to Tiffany's point. And if you would have asked me, I would have smiled at you and had told you very convincingly, this is what I wanted to do with my life. So there are limits to having conversations with people about their purpose, because they can only be as honest with you as they are with themselves. And so that was a major turning point in my life, Mike and Tiffany, because I had to go on a search for authenticity. Who's the real Susanna, and what does she want with her life? What feels most meaningful and purposeful to me? I before I was answering for what I thought, not what I felt. And so I have since learned that following my heart is the only true recourse, because if I care how I feel, I better check in with my feelings, right? So wow, I was pretty smart kid, but I didn't realize something so in hindsight so obvious. And so part of my quest for authenticity, I discovered I had a passion for leadership development. I was doing work with the Gracie Harris Leadership Institute. I was like, I can't believe I get to do this for a living. And I realized, oh, that's what meaningful work is when you feel like, work is play. And I went back to school to study the science of well-being, and I did my capstone on finding your calling. And in the course of that, I discovered the hero's journey, which is a framework by Joseph Campbell that who was a comparative mythologist who studied the legends, stories, religions, tall tales across time and culture. And he said, well, what are these stories all trying to tell us? All of these stories of humanity. And the theme that came out over and over again is what he called the hero's journey. I call it the hero's journey because we're in the 21st century.
Yes, we're being correct.
Yeah. And so basically, this is, according to Campbell, humanity's quest to feel fully alive. And that occurs when we are doing what feels like what we are meant on earth to do. The thing that we find most challenging, but also exhilarating. And so essentially the hero goes off in search of encounters a bad guy like Darth Vader, but then discovers that really the journey is inward. The journey is inward. We go on a journey to discover ourselves, and it's internal work. And when we go inside and we heal the thing that terrifies us the most, then we become bigger than that challenge. And then we do that over and over again. So that's the journey. It's an inward journey. It's not that raise, that promotion, that title, that nasty boss, my mortgage, whatever. That is not the journey. The journey is internal, and it's never ending. It's not that you ever arrive, because even should the hero prevail, they go on another journey and then another, and we get bigger and bigger and bigger, and woo. Then pretty much the world is your oyster.
I also think Susanna just explained why there's so many superhero sequels and redos with just that comment right there. That's why the story keeps going.
There you go. I never thought of that.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, on the mic and Mike, this is therapy right here. I'm sorry you guys are gonna have to ride with me on this, but Tiffany Greene, we are going into the kumbaya moment. Alrighty, Susanna, you're an overachiever as a young person, right? And you used to see the teachers and professors stand up there. You saw that and you're like, I could do that. That's something that I would like to do. Okay. What was it like the first time somebody called you professor? Did you feel like that was your thing?
Yeah, I guess so. Because, actually, even though I feel like I chose poorly, like doing research, it's really just not me. I did love the teaching. And so okay. I guess I was still on my path and somewhat within shooting distance. And I stayed on the teaching side, and I teach all kinds of skills now, not just academic topics.
Okay, so you were living your dream. You were saying, this is good. I'm on the path. When did all of a sudden the wheels get wobbly and you started having wandering eyes saying, maybe I need to touch on that kumbaya thing that keeps tugging at me? Was it an immediate thing, or did it just kind of like sneak up from behind?
Well, despite probably being fairly intelligent, I'm not very quick learner, apparently, because that the jaws of denial were closing in on me for a long time, and I was having a lot of problems with my health. I was having headaches and fibromyalgia, fatigue syndromes. I was like stressed out to the max, and probably creating more conflict than I would admit to. And it was just not really a very happy life, even though you would have looked at me and said, wow, that's an impressive young woman. And it literally was not. And I was playing this I'll be happy when game. I'll be happy when I get tenure. I'll be happy when I retire. And, that's all baloney. But, and so when that final item on my checklist, tenure, was achieved, I was like, okay, now I'll be happy. Now I'll be happy. And, it didn't take long, like maybe just a few months before I was like, what did I do? And I went around and asked all my colleagues, I got tenure. What do I do now? And they go, get full professor. And I was like, no. So I was like, there's no going back from this. Like, I can't do that. So it really did sneak up on me, Mike, but all the warning signs were there. I just did not want to see it. So I fell hard. And that's what is needed for a lot of people, unfortunately. So now I know when people are crying in my office and I'm like, oh, you have a rock bottom moment. How wonderful.
And they're looking at you like, lady, you lost your mind. I've hit rock bottom. Hey,
Yeah.
Tiffany, really quickly. So we're talking about this. So I come from the time when it was the 80s and everybody's total quality management. In the 90s, we're chop, chop, we're making money, we're doing all those things. When did wellness and kindness and, purpose become the cool thing? I mean, people kind of look at it now as a necessary thing, as you say, the kumbaya side. People do realize that takes it for winning teams. When did society and business start to say, hey, you know what, there might be something there to have healthy, happy employees, who are not just here for the money, they're here for other things as well.
Purpose has always been one element in terms of business and employee relationships. Has it become a movement? I would say the movement in some fashion started in the 2000s, but we still have a long way to go. People are getting it, they're starting to get it. And the reason why they're starting to get it is because, as you mentioned and Susanna was talking about, these younger generations are demanding it. So in our lifetime, they're saying, I'm not your cog in the wheel. The older baby boomers are going, what's wrong with them? They're so entitled. Why do they? And these kids are going, I'm here for a reason. I want to live out my purpose. I'm not your cog in the wheel. I'm not just here to be paid so you make money. They're declaring that, right? They want to be satisfied. And consumers are dictating it too. Consumers are realizing, especially the younger ones, when I buy something, I'm not just buying the product or service, I'm buying what this organization stands for, what their purpose is. It's like voting. Every time I spend $1, I'm voting for or I'm voting against something. So the younger generations get it, and so they're demanding this change. So if you're not evolving, you will be left behind.
There you go. Susanna is here with us, Tiffany. Also, Susanna, I just wanted to let you know that prior to coming to Richmond, we lived at Penn State. So we lived 2 blocks from campus. I loved a college town, a college atmosphere. And ma'am, you're here telling me that, young people believe the world could be a better place. And I drank the Kool-Aid. I love that aspect of it. There's more to it than just chasing the money. I went to California and I found people who were like-minded with me. That was around 1980. I came from the uptight Northeast and I went to California. People didn't have to be their stuff. You didn't just have to be chop to fit inside here. You could be what you want to be. Can people sometimes go to a place where there are other like-minded people and sort of make a living, make a way there so that they don't have to be on the treadmill feeling like the hamster?
Oh gosh, I truly hope that that's the case, and I believe it is. It's not necessarily an easy thing to do all at once, and so what I really advise people is to just experiment and take your time getting to know yourself and venture into as Joseph Campbell would call, follow your bliss. So first time I heard that phrase, I'm like, what does that mean? Like, how do you operationalize bliss? But what it means is like, follow your joy, follow your energy, follow your excitement, follow your curiosity, follow your fun. And so to build some time for that in your day or your week, however you can, to follow your passions and build on it, learn on it, grow it, start taking some experiment with it and put it out there. It took me 4 years to completely go back to school and retool and really start to apply that work to my life. And it's an ongoing thing. So just, one step at a time, follow your energy, follow the fun.
Really quickly, so it's Susanna's here with us, Tiffany Greene. This is On the Mic with Mike, RVA's Best Business Radio program. So Susanna, when people are out there and you're trying to find your way, sometimes people make their way to you. There's a bazillion coaches out there. My favorite is the 23-year-old life coach. I just want to know, who your life coach, and I mean, maybe my 10-year-old granddaughter, but sure that you ain't got enough miles on you. I mean, that's my, oh no. Tiffany Greene, she just said, I just stepped on a landmine. But Suzanne, let me get
that
this.
24-year-old is a little offended.
Yeah. Well, okay, but the thing is, people show up to your door, and if I'm looking to have a lean, mean business coach because I want to take over the world, I come to you and I lay it out. I'm like, this is what I want. You could look at me and basically like, Mike, there's no synergy here because you're willing to give up your happiness for world domination. Does that happen sometime?
That people give up their happiness
They
for
give up
world.
their happiness for world domination. Hey, I want to make money. Okay.
I think people, I want to say something because Susanna was talking a lot of good points and this is all kind of intertwining. So one, if you don't know yourself, nobody knows you. And I think people need to process that, meaning if you are craving external validation, external love, external like, but you don't know who you are, they don't either. So they can't like you, they can't really love you if you don't even know who you are. So if you're trying to get external validation through money or power, it's because you're trying to fill in a void because you don't really know what your purpose is. I've met so many small business owners and that their goal is set to something monetary. And then they reach that goal and they don't feel fulfilled. So they increase the goal and then they don't feel fulfilled. So then they constantly go, well, why am I not feeling fulfilled? I'm reaching this goal because the number is trying to get external validation when your validation has to come from within, not externally. So one thing that really resonated with me, and you probably weren't expecting me to talk about Oprah, but when I was young, Oprah had this show and I was pretty young and I was watching it and I was absorbing everything she said. And she said, you know your purpose when you think back to when you were a child and what gave you joy. Now, if you were putting together puzzles, she didn't use this part of the analogy, but she's like, if you're putting together puzzles, maybe your purpose isn't to build puzzles for the rest of your life, but what about putting the puzzle together was giving you joy? That could mean engineering. It could mean a lot of things, right? But the reason why you've got to look to the child sometimes is because that's before society dictates to you what you should be, not who you are.
And okay, so Susanna, Tiffany just diagnosed me there. I was an only kid from was 14 years, and I had a bunk bed, just with a mere possibility that people could stay. I was always asking my mom, can they stay? And Tiffany knows right now, I travel with my merry band of friends, just going and doing what we do, because that way I don't have to engage with a bunch of people that I don't know. That is the inner kid in me, which is always wanting my friends around. And so that really is, and then society steps in and says, yo, you got to man up and you got to do all those things and straighten up and you got to be a goer. And sometimes people would look at you that way. And in reality, you're like, yo, can we all just get along? There is enough here for everyone. That's why people don't have to be as super competitive as they do. Tiffany's always talking about there's pie enough for, hey, there's more.
We can make more pie. We can make more pie.
That is it. All righty, Tiffany, what's new and exciting? We are on the Empower Hour in the AM.
Yep.
So your friend Stacey Bradley Goodman is here, so I'm all ordered up. She was here earlier. So she is our operations expert. Really quickly, Tiffany, tell folks who the Empower Hour is.
So the Empower Hour is designed to be an opportunity for leaders and business owners to come and have their business management and leadership questions answered. It's a great opportunity to ask a panel of experts, throw their ideas at them or their concerns and get some feedback from experts in their field and varying from various experts, right? From very different disciplines, which is great. And so that's tomorrow at 9 o'clock. And like you said, we have Stacey Bradley Goodman. She's our operations guru with Origamic Solutions. We have John Rabel, who's with Ella. Just so you know, Mike, he has changed. He did a rebrand. It's no longer Launch. It's now called Ella, which stands for Entrepreneur Legal Advisors. And we also have Brian Kinsey with Tinker HR tomorrow at 9 o'clock. And we got some people signed up. It should be a really awesome conversation. And then on Thursday, we have our Empower People course, designing an employee handbook. Well, that might not sound riveting. It's very important if you have employees, and it's another opportunity to what? Discuss your
Purpose.
Every touch point.
It sounds riveting. I'm sitting on the edge of my seat waiting for that. Okay, Tiffany, we have some breaking news as well, don't we? So we had the membership drive, and
Yes.
Wait 1 second. We spared no expenses, even though Tiffany is not here. We have an announcement. There was a person who joined, and they won time to be on the show. 1 second, Susanna, we'll be right back to you. Here we go.
Yes, let me pull up the name. I wasn't ready for it. Shoot,
Ladies and gentlemen, that's what happened with live TV, live radio. Sometimes the talent is, we kind of get ahead of ourselves here on the mic with Mike. We're such a, by the book organization and program here. We are by the clock. We do not mess around.
I can't find it.
We're doing, ladies and gentlemen.
We weren't supposed to be announcing it till tomorrow, Mike. That's why I'm not prepared.
Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, like they say in court, please disregard that last comment. Act like you didn't hear it. The host of this radio program did not read the message. So, alrighty, really quickly, so that we didn't hear that. States, Susanna, how can people reach you?
Well, you can look us up at healingedu.org. Again, we're on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And you can also email me, or you can call us at 804-223-5255. Give us a ring. We'd love to help you and your organization.
Really quickly, Susanna, you didn't know this was individual therapy session here. When you started on this journey, when did you know this is the thing? You said all of a sudden you were doing a happy dance. How long did it take you before you're like, this is pretty cool what I'm doing here?
Well, I didn't even realize I was on a quest for something. I just started to do what, people started to come in with little offers, and I just followed along. And one invitation was to the Gracie Harris, and I think that was maybe 2 years later. I wasn't searching for anything. I didn't realize I was missing something. And I just realized I was just jumping out of bed each morning. And again, it just sort of like snuck up behind me. This time it was happy jaws instead of the jaws of death. So thankfully that came in and very serendipitously showed up in my life.
Oh, and Mike, she's giving a course on the 14th called The Superhero's Journey. So she's going to be talking about this in our course on the 14th at 1 o'clock. I think you need to attend.
I think I need to, because there is something there. So, Susanna, I'm from Pennsylvania, and I lived really close to the Amish, and I went to college in Amish country. And I tell people, there is something with the Amish that it's kind of like a peacefulness. They're not chasing. I mean, they do have some shenanigans. Yes, that is the case. But there's a peacefulness that they have that a lot of times we don't get, and they don't shield their kids from it. They let their kids go out and they see that there's a better way than to have a horse pulling a tractor. The same thing we were doing a couple 100 years ago. But their kids come back to that lifestyle because they find purpose in it. So, I'm glad you came on the program today. Thank you for the therapy session. Tiffany is always great bringing the best around. Tiffany, how can people find out information about Empower People and the Empower Hour, which is tomorrow, which we're going to be doing breaking news and a big announcement?
I will have the name and all the information tomorrow.
What I just gave was a media tease.
That was, and you know what? Bloopers are great. Sometimes the bloopers are better than the meat. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So
yes,
they can find us at empowerpeople.org. That's MPWRPeople.org. #EmpowerPeople on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. And if you'd like to reach out to me, email's best because I'm in and out of meetings. So TJ, as in Tiffany Joy, Greene with an E at the end, at empowerpeople.org.
That's Greene. That is, Tiffany is out there doing some amazing things. Susanna, thank you for joining. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to On the Mic with Mike, RVA's best business radio program. You can hear Tiffany Greene on ESPN Richmond. That's where she is. She hangs with me. I hang with her, and she's doing some amazing things. She is going to be one of the speakers at my 5th anniversary party. She's going to be talking about purpose, and that's what we're going to do there because we believe business can help society be better, and there's nobody else better to do it than the princess of purpose. All right, folks, take care. That's right. You're going to do the LeBron James. Put the hashtag King. I'll put it on there. That's all righty. Tiffany, Susanna, thanks. You guys take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.